Hello and welcome to this episode of Football Profile. Football kits are a classic image of modern football. Their designs can deliver so much, even becoming fashion statements and iconic representations of their clubs. Unfortunately, the very opposite is also true, and over time we have seen some truly horrendous efforts from clubs all over the world. From questionable designs and vile colours, some of these just make us want to look away in disgust. So without further ado, here's our list of the very worst of them. We hope you enjoy. Fiorentina were well known in the 90s for having exceptional kits. The Nintendo branding was iconic and the class purple colour always stood out amongst European football clubs. But they did have a slight misstep during this period as well. At first when looking at this kit, it doesn't seem too bad. Typical 90s style, but nothing ridiculous. Until you look at the purple element and see the rather controversial political symbol that makes an appearance. The shirt was swiftly removed from sale, and kit designer Lotto said it was an accidental optical effect. Well, we do hope so, Lotto. The 90s will feature a lot on this list, for the weird and very rarely wonderful designs that clubs sported during this period. Carlisle were another club that fell victim to this vicious trend with quite a few stonking kits. But it's the one from 1993 to 1995 that really takes the biscuit. A lot of you must be thinking, you've seen this design before. And to be honest, you probably have, especially if you take public transport on the regular basis. Almost identical to modern bus seats, to think an English league club wore this proudly in the 90s is hilarious. Cultural Leonesa, a club from Spain's lower tiers, wanted to make a special kit to celebrate their 90th anniversary. So they introduced this tuxedo kit in 2014. What the board were thinking, well, we can only wonder. But they sent their players out looking like waiters in a shirt that looks more like a joke t-shirt than a professional sports team. How anyone could take them seriously playing in this is beyond me. And how it successfully celebrated 90 years of the club, well, that's also a mystery. Newcastle fans have not had the best time over the last few decades, but their strips have been relatively uneventful. Except for their 2009-10 away kit. Few may remember this very well, as it was used during the Toons' return to the second tier, but dearie me, this two-tone yellow stripe seems to be inspired by vomit and bananas at the same time, and is so uncomfortable to look at. If it were just the top, it could have been slightly more acceptable, but with the shorts and hooped socks, staring at it for too long becomes quite a terrifying experience. Bilbao has quite a tight connection with modern art, with the spectacular Guggenheim Museum sitting along the banks of the river in the city. This, however, doesn't mean that this art style should influence its historic football club though. Unfortunately, in 2004-2005 this was the case, with artist Dario Urtzai designing a kit that was intended to imitate splattered blood. Pretty dark, it must be said. But the regular red and white stripes were abandoned, leaving behind a kit that looks like someone has dropped a jar of jam on a lovely white t-shirt. Maybe surrealist art just doesn't quite mix with football. Regina Calcio thought they had the secret to winning matches, by intimidating their opponents with their muscles, cue implementing a full naked torso onto the kit design. Seemingly inspired by the bulging abs of the movie 300 or a Roman statue, it became another bizarre design used by lower league clubs to gain some notoriety. Potentially hoping to imitate the skin-tight Italy kit from 2000, this definitely fell short. Whilst appearing quite smart on a fit professional footballer, the look doesn't quite work on the standard beer-bellied fan. A very, very strange design. Celtic are a club with an iconic kit. The green and white hoops are well known throughout European football, but their other kits have been quite interesting to say the least. Some other 90s variants have become fan favourites, and even seen some reinvention, but their third kit from 1991 was something to behold. A zigzag line that separates the snot green from the white centre, with the other half being a two-tone tie-dye of brownie green and brownier green? It's truly disgusting and looks like someone has spilt something on it. Fortunately, it didn't see many outings, but certainly sent home the unlucky few who did, feeling a little bit sick. Manchester United's infamous grey third kit. A 90s legend. On initial reflection, it doesn't look that bad. Yes, it's a bit dull and a wee bit ugly, but compared to some of the shockers on this list, it really is pretty normal. So why is it here? Well, it's because of the story behind its famous debut in the league against Southampton, when the reigning champs found themselves 3-0 down at half-time. How could they be playing so poorly? Well, the shirt was so poorly designed that in combination with the sun, they could not see their teammates. The team famously came out for the second half in a different kit, but still went on to lose 3-1. A shirt that makes your teammates invisible surely has to go down as one of the worst. What is the first thing that springs to mind when you think of the hallmarks of a classic football kit? If you said tassels, then you may be a fan of the Caribous of Colorado kit from the 1970s. Designed in all its cowboy splendour, this kit really doesn't fit into anyone's idea of a football strip. The tassels make it look like a rejected costume for the village people, whilst also reminding me of my granny's curtains. A truly awful design. The kit really sums up the very weird early years of the North American Soccer League, and recently the Colorado Rapids players gave it a remodelling. We didn't really need to see this again. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Football Profile. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this, as it really helps us out. Did your club appear on this list? What other shirts did we leave out that bring back horrifying memories for you? Let us know in the comments.